Well, we can go to the U.S. elections now. I understand that our guest
Has it been called yet?
Are you in so much of a hurry?
Well, I'm not the only one. Everybody is just, you know,
because
anxious. What's going on? What's going on? You know, the champions of democracy seem to be having problems with democracy right now.
Well, we have Dr. Sulaiman Barnabas in our Abuja studio joining us for this one. He is a political and developmental sociologist and former head of Department of Sociology and Anthropology at Bayes University. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Everyone is looking
agog
at what's happening in the U.S. right now. Just wondering, I mean, if I don't know about you as well, but I saw someone on one of the social media platforms saying, look at me checking the results of the U.S. elections as if I'm going there tomorrow. Why the interest, if you can factor a reason?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I think the first reason for the excitement all over the world about what is happening in the U.S. is because the U.S. represents democracy, especially presidential democracy in the world. So there are lots needs to be learned as far as democracy is concerned in the U.S. And so if whatever goes wrong in the U.S. has a lot to do with other countries, and then people are watching to see the police of the world, people who condemn those who go against the ethics of democracy, they want to see how they conduct their own democracy and see whether they are actually walking the talk or just being hypocritical about the ideals of democracy.
Okay, so this is where we are now, and a number of people are wondering, why does it seem to be taking a little longer than usual? If this happened in Nigeria, many people will probably be calling for the head of maybe INEC or any other agency like that. But for you, why does it seem to be taking so long?
Well, it's taking so long because of the the situation they have, at hand. Again, the time frame is still within the legal, framework. So it has not violated any law. Again, why people are actually bothered is because of what is coming from the President Donald Trump. The process is gradual, but I think that is working. And institutions are working. And so we should just relax and see that that's why from time, you see Joe Biden come and encourage the people to be patient, that the process is ongoing, there's no need to be bothered, and that however strong the President of America is, he cannot stop the process. And so at the end of it all, we'll have something that is relatively free and fair, and then the winner will be announced.
Okay. What are your comments about the 3 Nigerian Americans who have won seats in their state houses?
I think it's a good development for us. We are happy that Nigerians are making us proud out there. There's no doubt that we have good Nigerians, qualified Nigerians, Nigerians that other people are proud of, And so I think that the Nigerian politicians must learn from these politicians that give people, a chance. Don't use ethnicity, religion, other sentiments to undermine the democratic space. Once people are qualified, irrespective of their gender, irrespective of their age, irrespective of their ethnicity, they should be allowed to present themselves to the people and be allowed to be voted into positions of power according to the will of the people. That's what democracy is all about. It's about the government of the people. And so Nigerians should learn that if Nigerians can become political office holders in other climes, there's no reason why qualified Nigerians in this space cannot occupy any political positions when they are qualified.
Well, Dr.
And,
Barnabas,
Dr. Sulaiman, I note that these three people are what you would call youth in Nigeria. They are all rather young people. No comments about that? You have no
people. No, they are young people, and that's good. Although the other irony is that the presidential election, the people who are contesting are also very old people. It shouldn't be the major variable. Once the people are qualified, and they meet the age, they should be allowed to contest. It's for the people to elect those who are qualified, to lead them. Now, I think the most important factor there is the fact that there is representativeness. Young people are in the politics, old people are there, women are there, men are there. So you don't have a situation where people are deprived of their democratic rights on the basis of their age, gender, and what have you.
I'll come back to that, the other sentiments that you talked about, but for a moment, let me stay with that youth sentiment, if I can use that term. Now, there is a system that usually throws up political office holders, such as the young Nigerians that we're talking about now. If we were to situate that at home here in Nigeria, do you see the same political system being able to throw up younger people for such positions as these young people that are being recognized and acknowledged in the United States of America, irrespective of their gender, their other sentiments? The fact that they are young, what does it say to the system? And is there a way that we can learn a thing or two such that the system can throw them up, irrespective of who they know or who they don't?
Yes, I think that the young people have a lot to offer. Unfortunately, we have a political system, in our country that is highly monetized. And young people in this part of the world who have no godfathers, have no access to these funds that will enable them, engage in political contestations. So I think one thing that we must learn is the fact that the old generation must give the young people a chance. They must not use their resources. When I'm talking about resources, Nigeria is not even limited to money, the social capital. They must not use it to undermine young people. They should allow young people, they should sponsor, they should create, the opportunity for young people to actually participate in the political system, not just as voters, but as elected officials, or even through appointments, so that they can serve. I think the major thing we need to learn is that the political parties also must be able to give, young people the chance to participate, because they are the future of tomorrow. They are going to be presidents in some 10, 20 years, to come. They must start learning now, as from the House of Representatives, the House of Assembly, other political offices, so that by the time they now start contesting, or by the time they are occupying political positions, they have what it takes in terms of the morality, talking about the virtues required, in terms of the capacity, to administer good governance, not just having people, whether young or old, who will come to the scene with a mindset of coming to enrich themselves and then get the people much more impoverished than they were before they got into that place.
Okay, let's quickly bring in Curtis Adigba, also a developmental analyst. He joins us virtually right now. Well, Mr. Adigba, this is where we are now. One of the issues, we are really beyond time, but one of the issues that usually plays up when we, draw examples like this that Nigeria can learn from is that of sentiments. Dr. Barnabas has been talking about some of them, and he mentioned particularly ethnicity, which didn't come to play, in the United States of America. Otherwise, Nigerians would not be in their national and state assemblies. Is there a way, and this is something we talk about all the time here, we should get rid of all this ethnicity, religion, and all of those things. What do we need to do to make it really happen? And not just talk about it all the time, Mr. Adiba. Well. Okay, well, he's not with us. Okay, so Dr. Barnabas, the same question for you. We've been talking about it. Let's get rid of ethnicity. Let's get rid of religious sentiments. We've been talking about that for years. What do we need to do to make it a thing and not just a theological or theoretical analysis at all times?
Now, the things we need to do is, one, education and enlightenment. You see, the reason why it's difficult today for Donald Trump to have his way in the U.S., because Donald Trump is a typical politician that you can liken to a Nigerian politician. A politician who is not ready to lose. He gets into the game and he wants to win at all means. A demagogue, if you like to say. Until you have a system where the institutions are working, because institutional powers are actually stronger than individual powers. When you have strong institutions that cannot sacrifice the sentiments of an individual or even the sentiments of a group at the altar of national interests, institutions that will ensure that they work to meet the values of democracy, institutions that will not allow, people to use technicalities. Because what Donald Trump wants, for example, is to become the legal president of the U.S. But democracy goes beyond legality. Democracy must also involve legitimacy. And the institutions in the U.S. know that very well, including the Republican Party. They know very well that democracy must outlive Donald Trump. It must outlive this current regime. And so because of that, they are not going to sacrifice those values, those democratic values, at the altar of one man's ego or a group, an ethnic nationality, or even a religious group. And so they try as much as possible to strengthen their institutions so that these institutions will bring up people, will be led by people of integrity, relatively, because in politics, you have people who have a whole lot of interest. But people who will ensure that whatever the case, they are not going to sacrifice their ethnic, value. They're not going to sacrifice the national values at the altar of ethnic or religious values. So institutions are the major problem in Nigeria's democracy. So Nigeria should be working towards strengthening its institutions like they have it in the US, where even though Donald Trump's ego has been bruised, even though you have a situation where the most populated people in the US are the whites, those people are looking at certain values of their democracy, which they think that Donald Trump is not representing very well. And you now have them vote. Even Democrats have come out openly to say that they were never going to vote for Donald Trump. And we are seeing the results now. Recounting or whatever you have to do, the way this election is going, it is clear that Donald Trump is not going to make it. And the institutions there will not ensure that legality will take prominence over legitimacy, like you have in a place like Imo State now, where somebody, through legality, if somebody from Ford becomes first, or like you have in Bayelsa, through legality, the people that were elected by the majority have been shortchanged, and you have a governor who didn't win as the governor. So institutions must be strengthened, the legal institutions. These are necessary components of the democratic process, but you must not allow them to be subversive. Subjected to the wills of the strong man or the strong ethnic group. That is what I think Nigerians need to learn.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sulaiman Barnabas, political and developmental sociologist and former head of Department of Sociology, Bayes University, Abuja. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. And that concludes Sunrise for this morning. We'll bring you a fresh package next weekend. My name is Alero Edu. Please stay safe and wear your mask and wash your hands and be good to your neighbor and to yourself.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Please take care of yourself. Bye for now.